Okay. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Welcome everybody to the new installment of editing. Okay. Back to another episode of whatever we're about to call this. I have a special guest, a good friend of mine, Megan.
Hey guys.
Okay. Anyways, so let's just get right into it. Tell me about your story. Tell me about your childhood.
So, I think I should start out with I'm adopted into a white family, and I think that everybody's usually pretty surprised by that. But it's not the whoa, I would have never guessed surprise, because I sound like a white person, I guess. So,
right.
But I think it's more like a surprise, oh, that all makes sense now that you act the way you act because you were raised by a white family.
Right.
I mean, middle class white family, so, I was quote unquote privileged. Dad had a boat, and we lived. I learned to swim, just the regular privileged people stuff.
Right.
I think it was hard. Not as hard when I was younger, because when you're young, you don't really understand the concept of race and all of that. But when you get older and your friends, quote unquote friends, become more aware of the color difference in your family, they like to point it out.
Right.
And then you get around black people who are raised by black people, and some of them are kind of almost rude about me being raised in a white family. It's kind of oh, I bet you and everything, I bet your car is paid for, I bet they pay your rent, I bet, and you're no, they literally left me out here to dry, okay? I just, so I think that it created a pretty interesting platform for me in life in general. College has been interesting, all the different dynamics and stuff of people's lives, and I think that me being in the place that I am, I'm able to look at a lot of different situations differently. But as much as race is kind of a part of my story, I hate it. Just screw everybody, but I also have the opposite side of me where I'm I like to stand up for what is right and what is correct.
Yeah.
And so I think that growing up, that was really, really difficult, because if you don't know who you are, you're trying to base, who you are off of the color of your skin or whatever, how can you,
Right, no, yeah. I feel that. Yeah, I mean, regarding childhood, because the whole, you being raised, in a white family type of thing, I was raised around, all black people, but today, if I go around certain parts of the city, I get looked at as not like a white black dude in a way. You know what I'm saying? And I'm when I was younger, it's damn, is it because how I dress? Is it because how I talk? What's going on? Cause I'm the darkest dude here. What's going on? But as I grew older, I started to just realize I'm kind of just dynamic, like a unicorn in a way. I'm just I'm into this, I'm into that, and I talk like this. So just because I don't slang, just because I don't do certain things, I'm looked at as a white black dude. And it's just weird because I've had my black friends say that, and I've had my white friends say that too. So it's damn, who's saying y'all?
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. But now, today, I definitely embrace it. I've heard that my entire life, so I kind of just embrace it.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing to talk proper.
Right.
Why is that bad?
Do you think that your desire for furthering your education and stuff like that played into people's kind of label slapping of you being a white black person?
I mean, yeah, just because the whole stigma of black people can't get into college or can't finish college or whatever, or if you do extra years of school after high school, then you're this certain type of person. But I look at it as out of any person, how are you going to further yourself unless you're just born into money or you hit the lottery or something like that? What can you do that's going to value yourself to get that job or to and you need a college education. You you need that, and sometimes that's not even enough.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But I don't pay no mind. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah. So being raised, so I am. I was gonna say don't tell anybody but this, but like we're recording. So I actually find myself way more comfortable around white people than black people.
Why is that?
I feel judged. Like immediately I walk into a room of black people, go to the cookout, whatever, you know, right. didn't make her son a plate, didn't grab the crabs, you know, don't like the oxtails, like, you know,
right.
And I feel out of place. I feel judged. And then they open their mouth and they say things like, you know, oh, honey, get yourself another plate because obviously you need more meat on your bones, you know, I'm supposed to be a big black beautiful woman or something like that, you know, and so, but white people, like the literally I've never met a racist white person in my life, which is
that's crazy. That is crazy.
But you walk into a room full of white people, like as a pastor's daughter, all the churches I've attended are white,
right? And
they just compliment you left and right. They're like, we love your hair, you know, your style is on point, like your eyes are gorgeous, your skin is gorgeous, like just never ending just oodles of compliments and support, and like right. And they talk to you like you're a normal person and that you're on their level, you know, just knowledge wise too. I feel like there's a lot of woke black people that, you know, they talk about the motherland. I'm like, no, I was born in the west side of Chicago and that is my motherland, right. You know, so I think that and maybe that's just me being insecure, I'm not sure, but I've never been as comfortable around black people as I have around white people.
Do you feel like it's because of like what you're used to? I mean,
probably. Yeah, like how I grew up. And that was, and I mean, my parents didn't raise me, like, waking up every day and telling me, like, hey, reminder, you're black.
Right.
You know, we just kind of lived life.
Right.
And I almost feel like black people tend to constantly, try to remind you that, hey, you are black.
You need to do this.
And you need to do this and
right.
this and this, and the world is after you, and
right.
you have to prove people wrong, and you, like, you know, you have to get to the top, you have to be above the white man, and like this whole, you know, agenda that you're required, but that was never a thing with my family or white people that I've come into contact with. It was always like, what are your interests, you know?
Right.
What do you love? What are you passionate about?
Right.
Work ethic was a huge thing growing up. I grew up on a farm, so it was like constantly going out and scooping chicken poop and moving hay bales, and, you know, and that's what made me who I am today. And so I think maybe that 100% has something to do with why I'm and you'll laugh. You're laugh.
What?
You know, and that's just like, that's not even just a racial thing. Like, I'm an old lady in a 21-year-old body, and right. So like my downstairs neighbors like roll up and play their trash music at 3 a.m, and,
right.
And I'm like, y'all need to go to bed, you know. But.
Right. So let's talk about dating and your preferences and what you look for. And interracial dating. Let's dive into that.
So I have not always preferred white guys.
Right.
I was always the ugly kid.
Me too.
So it was just kind of like whatever guy was available and
right,
was like showing
right.
me interest. It was just kind of like, yeah, sure, that's good.
Yeah.
I think the first guy I ever quote unquote dated, which I was never allowed to date because I was just I was very protected.
Right.
So the first guy I dated was mixed, and then like from there, like when I moved to Florida, it was more black men, right. And then when I moved to South Carolina, it was black men. And then once I mended relationships with my family, because I kind of like dipped out on them. It was like, yeah. So I mended relationships with my family. I was dating somebody at the time, and I had decided to move back home to Indiana.
Right.
So I was super excited because I had been dating him for almost a year, and I was like, he's the one. Obviously, he wasn't. And I was so excited to introduce him to my parents and introduce my parents to his mom.
Right.
Just because, like, family is such an important thing to me, like, the dynamic of it and everything. And his mom was awful.
Oh, wow.
Like, standoffish, barely talked to my parents. Like, we had a plan to sit at her house and just kind of converse and get to know each other and everything. She's like, yeah, no, I'll take you guys to the hotel now, like, as soon as they're walking through the door. Wow. And, like, you know, and I think in that moment, I realized that I will never be able to date a black person that doesn't understand that race should never be an issue. Because I won't tolerate that. If your family is going to be mean and rude towards my family about something that they can't help, which is the exact thing that the black community is worried about white people doing to them, like, there's no room for that. I don't tolerate that. So after that relationship, I have dated white guys since. It wasn't on purpose, but I think I was more drawn to them because I wasn't going to have to worry about the weird tension conversation about, like, hey, my parents are white. Right. It's always important to me to find somebody that would see me outside of the color of my skin. And I think that it's always a hit or miss with black men because you have, like, two different categories. You have the black men that are like, you're a black woman, you're my queen, and we're supposed to be a power couple and, like, all of this weird stuff, which I'm not a queen and I'm not, like, I'm just weird. And then there's the black men that are like, they just don't care.
Right.
And that's just like, they just don't care, period. Right. You know? And then you have, like, the unicorns like you, who are just kind of like, we're just gonna, you know, we're gonna do whatever we please, right, you know, because, you know. Exactly. So with my fiance, I think maybe, I know, which is a drastic change from last summer, because last summer was like, it was crazy. But it was, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was like, men are trash, and I am a hot single woman, and there will never be a guy that will ever, you know what I mean? and then he came along, and I was like, oh, maybe you, you know? So I think that with my fiance, we had maybe one discussion about race, and that was it. And from then on, it was like, what are your interests? What are you passionate about? Like, stuff like that. And I just love that. We don't sit down and talk about, you know, how can I help you make a black-owned business where you can sell T-shirts that you got from Walmart for $100 a piece after you slap your label on it, you know? Right. No shade. But, like, I just, I'm sorry, I know I tell you too many people that do that. Right. But, like, you know, and I love that. I love how it's just easy, because there's so many other things that need to be worried about than race, you know? And I think that, you know, we obviously have to discuss, like, okay, so when we have kids, how is that going to work? Because I know that raising a mixed child in this world is difficult, because they're either an accessory or they're kind of like an abomination, because both sides of the communities are like, you're not one of us. I bet it's tough. Definitely tough. You know, I just plan on telling them that nobody loves them. Just kidding. That was sarcasm. No. So, you know, we have to talk about stuff like that, but, you know, we just vibe all the time. Right. You know.
That's good. I think, not to cut you off, but I feel like if I'm dating a white woman, obviously you have to have that conversation, like, okay, like, how does your parents feel, how will my parents feel, how will my family feel, you know what I'm saying? But once you get that out the way and it's just smooth, like, you just start to see, okay, we're just people. Like, we're not like, okay, you shouldn't be with him because he's white, you shouldn't be with her because she's white, Asian, Mexican. Like, I don't understand that stigma, but I think it's something that it's always been going on. Like, it's always been a thing, like dating back to whenever. But I wonder, like, will it ever be like socially accepted for you to walk around the goddamn campus with a white man and it be okay and not be stared at?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or snared at by, you know, whoever. Have
you ever brought a white girl home? Like, how does your family feel about?
See, my family, like, they're accepting, like, we're accepting, like, it's just like whether or not you're gonna be comfortable, because we don't care what your color is. It's just like, who are you? Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but you do gotta get the humor. You know what I'm saying? You think there's a thing like white humor and black humor? You believe in that?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I feel like that's one thing that I can think about, like, dating back, like, bringing someone home, just, like, hanging out, but, like, not getting the jokes or not getting this or whatever. But I think that comes with just, like, adapting. But
I agree.
There's never been a problem, but I do know people who, like, have had that problem where it's like, damn, like, I'm scared to bring her home because I don't know what my mom's going to say or whatever. But you just gotta be, you know, I think eventually we'll evolve and we'll, you know, look at it as just my son or daughter likes this person, and that's okay. No matter if they're gay or if they're whatever race they are. So.
Yeah, and it's important to, like, be that safe space for people, and I think that's how I view my family. I'm sure that's how you view your family too, just like as a safe space for everybody.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. You want to get into the topic we were talking about off air?
Yeah, so, you caught me on a good day, because I don't think I'll cry about it. So I guess this is the time where I'm like, for more information, listen to my podcast.
Yeah, plug your podcast. Plug
so I started a podcast last year called Whiteish, and I'm sure somebody somewhere after it actually takes off is going to email me and be like, hey, you can't have that name. I'm going to have to change it. And I feel like you know a lot about it. So, and I created the podcast because I needed to talk. I dumped my therapist because I hate therapists. I hate psychologists. I hate them. And after the traumatic things that happened to me, you know, rape and molestation and all of those things, I never really talked about it. You know, I think I went to a therapist and then, like, told him to F off because it's, like, I don't like talking to somebody who doesn't understand exactly what I'm going through and somebody that I don't know personally.
Right.
Like, my dad's paying you to listen. Like, that's about as deep as it goes. So, all these years later, after, you know, kind of shoving it under the rug, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be my own therapist, because I met a lot of women and men that have dealt with the same thing. And it took a while, but you start to realize that those things happen not so you can keep them to yourself, but so you can help others. So my podcast has been just that, processing things, saying things out loud, and being like, you know what, this is what happened, but this is how I deal with it, and these are kind of the aftermath facts of things like that. And so I think that my podcast is for any and everybody. You know, there's humor, there's tears, there's trauma, there's just all of it. And
it's on all platforms, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, Spotify, Anchor, Apple, like, just all of it. Right. So, which when it emailed me like, hey, your podcast is on Spotify, and I'm like, what did I do to deserve that? You know, so
you know, official.
I do, I really do, and I've connected with some really awesome people, And I'm excited to see where it goes. I mean, so far, it's not like I have just millions of followers. Like, I think you had posted something about your followers one day, and I was like, so that's what success looks like. I was like, there's absolutely no way, you know, but like I have a couple of really solid listeners that just listen. And
I'll take
you know?
5 people who listen to it and can talk to me about it, then 100, 300, it don't matter. Like, as long as you have like that just core base, like, I never say fans. Like, I just say people who just support.
Yeah.
And just listening, like, that means so much. Like, if 5 people was like, hey, I listen to that whole thing, and I dig on this and that, or even debating me, like, I don't think, this is right or whatever. Like, I love that. I don't care too much about the numbers, but like nowadays, it's like that's the only thing that can give you like validation, like in the grand scheme of things, I guess you could say. Like sometimes you have to boast because like you work hard on it. You know what I'm saying? These are our thoughts, so I feel like they should be recognized.
Agreed.
But yeah, man, I definitely, I definitely fuck with the podcast shit. I definitely fuck with it. But another question I want to ask you is, what is your stance like with mental health? Like, because obviously I feel like you've dealt with it before, and like I've dealt with it before in my past. So like, do you feel like it's something that just never goes away? Do you feel like it's something that you kind of just learn to cope with, learn to,
Yeah, I think it depends on who you are.
Right.
So for me, I obviously developed a lot of mental issues going through something like that.
Right.
I mean, if you didn't, that would be a mental issue if you didn't develop mental issues.
Right.
And it was like depression and stuff like that, and I think I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder.
Oh, okay. I got diagnosed with depression. I'm like, that's kind of broad.
That's really, and then I was also, I think I showed symptoms, whatever that means, of reactive attachment disorder, and that just, it's I feel like it's the same thing as borderline personality disorder, just kind of like have a hard time trusting people, having a hard time being trustworthy, but these are all, things that were diagnosed before I was 16.
Right.
So it's like, were they actually a thing? Was it a behavioral issue? Was it, and because now at 21, I'm like, okay, yeah, you drink a little bit too much and you cry about things you really shouldn't cry about. But I've done all of that without medication and without, having to go to therapy. Have I gone to therapy? Yes. Did I hate it? Absolutely. Did I leave it? Mm-hmm. Am I doing okay? No. But that's all right.
Right.
You're just kind of like, life sucks sometimes, and I'm very cynical about stuff like that. But I also, I also think it's important for the people who do have like schizophrenia and like the more something like that.
Right.
I mean, if you didn't, that would be a mental issue if you
Right.
didn't develop mental issues.
Right.
And it was like depression and stuff like that, and I think I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder.
Oh, okay. I got diagnosed with depression. Like, it's kind of broad.
That's really, and then I was also, I think I showed symptoms, whatever that means, of reactive attachment disorder, and that just, it's I feel like it's the same thing as borderline personality disorder, just kind of like have a hard time trusting people, having a hard time being trustworthy, but these are all, things that were diagnosed before I was 16.
Right.
So it's like, were they actually a thing? Was it a behavioral issue? Was it, and because now at 21, I'm like, okay, yeah, you drink a little bit too much and you cry about things you really shouldn't cry about. But I've done all of that without medication and without, having to go to therapy. Have I gone to therapy? Yes. Did I hate it? Absolutely. Did I leave it? Mm-hmm. Am I doing okay? No. But that's all right.
Right.
You're just kind of like, life sucks sometimes, and I'm very cynical about stuff like that. But I also, I also think it's important for the people who do have like schizophrenia and like the more, I want to say, toxic mental issues to be taken care of. But I think that I don't like the labels of depression and all of that, even if you do have it, because I feel like for certain people, that's their crutch. That's their excuse. they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm such a bitch today because I'm depressed or I'm bipolar. And you're like, Becky, you are 18, okay, and bipolar depression shouldn't be diagnosed until like maybe 30s. So, it's just, I think that mental health is a huge issue. And I talked in my last podcast about like why mental facilities are so important in their structure and the way that they treat people with mental illnesses, because sometimes it is just behavioral. It's not always mental illness.
Right.
So, but how about you? How do you feel? Tell me how you feel.
I mean, honestly, no lie, I used to think that depression was not real. Like, I was in high school and like I had a close friend of mine, and like I can't say names obviously, but like if she listens, she'll know her. She knows about her. But like she would like literally like wake up every day sad as fuck, like every single day. It wouldn't stop. And I'm like, damn, like you're in high school, like, and I felt like at that point in time, it's like, what do you have that is so bad about your life? You know what I'm saying? And like we could never figure it out. Like I would stay up talking to her like hours on end, like every night, like damn, like can I do this to make you happy? Can I do this? Like, and nothing will work. And like I'm like, damn, like there's no way this shit can be real. You're just dealing with something. You're just, it's just a phase.
Right.
And then later in life, like I experienced loss and I experienced, heartbreak all at the same time. And I remember just having deja vu because that was me at that point. I'm like, damn, every day I'm like, I do not want to go to bed. Every day I'm like, damn, I don't want to be here no more, you know what I'm saying? But, and I'm like, damn, it was crazy because like 3 years ago you didn't even think this was real.
Right.
And then now you're at the fucking, at a fucking clinic getting diagnosed with fucking depression. So it's like, damn. But I think like over the course of time, you kind of just, like you said, life is life. You can either let it fuck you up and, make you not do anything in life, or you can just realize like, okay, this is what's going on with you, and when you feel yourself slipping, like take these steps to, stay sane or just stay afloat. So like, and that's where like I'm at now, like at 24, like I know when I can feel myself slipping. So I already know like what I need to do to, negate that. So I think like if anyone out there is dealing with that, which I think many people are, I think it's a good thing to have mechanisms and like people that you can relate to about it. So that's my whole spiel about it. But I definitely like now today, like I do apologize just for everyone who I did say that I thought it was fake, like, or I thought it was just like a little, something that is whatever. But it's very real. It's very real. And anyone out there that think that it's not, I don't want to wish on anybody, but you won't really know until you experience that shit yourself. So
yeah, no, definitely.
Hell yeah. But okay, I'm just trying to wrap things up here in a little bit. But to end that topic. Give me 3. If anyone out here that's listening, like, what would you give them advice-wise? Like, what are 3 things that you would say if they're dealing with it and they have nobody?
I think that the most important, like number one thing for me is it's okay to feel what you're feeling. Like acknowledge that, yes, I am sad, because I think it gets way more destructive when you're like, it's not there, but it is there.
Right.
When I was in treatment for a little bit, and I hated it then, but they always be like, what are your coping skills? What are some positive coping skills? And you're like, I don't know, Susan, watching you stab yourself in the neck would be really great for me. But now, even like as an adult, I have a lot of coping skills that I didn't even realize were coping skills.
Right.
And so having those coping skills, I think, are very, very important. I bake all day, every day. And it's weird because whatever I'm baking, it will not turn out correctly unless I am stressed or depressed or angry or whatever. Like I just put all of it into my baking, which probably makes it poisonous, but that's okay. And then 3, I think that it's very important to have a significant other that understands. I think that for me, it was always very difficult finding a guy that was like not okay with what happened to me, but was normal about it.
Right.
I think that when I tell people about it, their automatic response is sympathy, and I don't look at you any differently. Like it wasn't your fault and blah 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 blah. But then like the relationship proceeds and they start acting weird, and because like I completely understand. You know, I understand why it would be difficult to look at a woman that doesn't know her body count because she had no control over it.
Right.
You know, because I think that deep down, you know, no matter what people, rap artists, whatever say, like nobody wants to marry a hoe. Okay, Cardi B and Offset are not happy. I don't care what anybody says.
You let the money.
I don't think so. I really don't. And so I think that it's important for you to have a significant other that understands what you went through,
right?
Why you told them what you went through, and understands how they can help you heal. Because a healing process isn't just you. You have partners in healing processes, and I think like my latest thing that I've discovered is usually like I'll have triggers, which you know I hate that word, and anybody that was like, oh that triggers me, I'm like, you know, like shut it up, you know?
Right.
But like I have triggers when I'm out in public or hanging out with my significant other's family or whatever, and I will tell him like, I need to go home. This isn't a safe space for me. I need to cry. Like I need to leave.
Right.
He doesn't question me, nothing. Gets me in the car, gets me home, makes sure I'm safe, and leaves it at that. Like there's
right.
no, you know, and so, but I realized that I haven't been healing in my times of being alone. And so I realized that taking it to the next level is like being around people that know and love you and having them help you heal. So those are like my top 3 things for people that are dealing with depression and suicidal thoughts and stuff like that is, you know, it's okay to feel that way. Have your coping skills, but also surround yourself with people who love you and understand exactly what you need. And even when you don't know what you need.
Right.
You know, so, yeah. What about you?
3 things. I say 3 important things when dealing with depression or any, or if you're like a little, like your mental health isn't there. I think that you should definitely have some type of support system. Like with you, like you have a significant other. With me being single, it's like, okay,
You're single.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, he's got all the girls. I have
let's not hear that up. No, I'm just kidding. But I think you should have like a good like support system. Like me, like that's why friends, like having real friends is very important to me because I deal with like real things, and as you know, everyone does, you know what I'm saying. But I lean on my friends heavy because my dad's not around. My mom passed. So it's like, I don't really, I love my grandpa and my grandma to death, but it's like some things you can't really, you know, relate with. Like, y'all old as fuck. But shout out grandma and grandpa. But like, I need to like have people my age, I just need to be able to talk. And I have a great support system. So like, I'm really thankful for that. So I'd say like, have a good support system. I think understanding that like, you're not okay. Like, if you need to sit in your house or sit in your room all day and cry, that is completely fine. I think like, and you should realize that like it's okay to cry, especially as men, black men. Like, man, I definitely want to reach out to like, because like black men being vulnerable in any way is just looked at so bad. But like, I'm not ashamed of saying, yeah, I cry sometimes, like cry hard sometimes. Because shit, like we all go through shit. I've been through some crazy shit. So I think it's cool to cry. So I think like it's cool to just be sad for that day or for a week. 3rd thing, really cliche, but I would say prayer and music go hand in hand with me because I think prayer is very good, very important. And then music is really good because it kind of like this, I don't know, it's kind of like therapeutic in a way. Like you can just listen to certain songs or certain melodies and it just makes you just feel better. or it might make you cry. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so sad. But I think those 3 things are important for me because like that's what I've done to cope with depression and shit. So for sure. But do you have any last remarks for the listeners, the viewers, if that thing is still recording over
there? I think that just like and follow. No, I think that I'm super happy that I got to be your guinea pig for your first episode. I am honored. I look forward to doing a collab with you next week.
Yes, sir.
Whiteish is the name of my podcast. It's on everything. If that's what you guys are up for, I'm sure you're sitting at home doing nothing, so please help yourself. And always, like my social media and everything, I'm sure you can tag me and all of that. And I would love to hear from you guys about, you know, how you feel about what we conversed about today. I'm always a conversationalist. Don't come in my inbox trying to tell me something different, but like, you know, give your opinion. Right. And I love that conversation, and I look forward to having more.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Y'all have a good day. Y'all be safe out here in these terrible times, and we'll catch you next time. That shit was good. Let me see this shit. Because honestly, if this shit was still recording, that'd be dope. It was.